Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Matthew Maley for MatthewMaley.com. Well, it is officially the end of season 14 of the Arizona Poker Tour. Championship table just concluded, and I wanted to do a quick wrap up, let everybody know how it worked out, how it happened, as well as go over a few of the bigger hands that took place. I apologize, I was actually going to do a video driving back from the tournament, but there was so much stuff going on, and in my mind more than anything, trying to work through some of the hands and just figure out what went wrong. So as you can tell, I didn't win. I couldn't do it while I was driving, so I said, you know what, let's just get back to the crib, relax a little, get changed, and now we'll do one. So it was a very interesting night of poker, to say the least. As you guys know, I made it to the final table based on getting to 3 final tables out of the 4 events I played this season. I missed the first event, so I got a 0 for that week. But then I had back-to-back second places, a finish in like 15th, and then an 8th place finish. So I had 3 out of the 4 events I played. I did make the final table, which is pretty solid, especially for me in that tournament. But I knew the final table was going to be a pretty tough table. A couple buddies of mine from Wells Fargo were there. My buddy John Holiday, who's played a bunch at my house. A guy named Ron, who actually been in my World Series, or the Imperial Poker Tour, that I used to run at my house, which for those who don't know was actually a World Series of Poker qualifier, as well as a guy named Jason, who also worked with us, who are all pretty solid players, as well as a lady who, if I'm not mistaken, took 3rd in the Women's State Championship for Arizona a few years back. Just a pretty solid table. I will say I thought there were a couple people there who weren't that great. Obviously, I'm not going to name names or do anything like that, but I thought there were a couple people who got pretty lucky to get there in the first place. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, I thought it was going to be a pretty solid table, pretty evenly matched, if you will. So we finally get ready, get started, and we're dealing for high card. And what I thought was going to be an omen of good things to come, it's always first ace. Well, most places will do first ace. And sure enough, first ace hit me. Not just any ace, it was my absolute favorite card in the deck. The Ace of Spades. I know it's corny, everybody's favorite card is the Ace of Spades, but it's especially mine. So, was thinking, I'm good. I got an Ace of Spades first hand. This is good. I'm going to be getting the button on my first hand. I'm going to run away with this. So, very first hand of the tournament, I pick up Ace King on the button. Blinds start off at 5-10, 15-minute blind rounds. Everybody starts off with 1,500 chips. So I have Ace King, Ace of Clubs, King of Diamonds. Okay, so like 3 people call. I raise up to 40. 4 times the big blind. Probably should have gone a little bit higher just because there were already some people in the pot. But I'm figuring first hand, not trying to get too crazy. So small blind, big blind, both call, as well as 2 of the other people who had called pre-flop, or one of them folded. So we've got a 5-way pot here with my Ace King. Flop came up 10-7-4 rainbow. So check, 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 check comes to me. I put out a bet. I believe I put in a bet of probably about 120-ish, because I figured 4 other people had called at 40. So there was 160, as well, in addition to my 40. So it was about $200 in the pot. So I bet a little bit over half the pot. Figuring, it was checked around, standard continuation bet. Maybe I could have gone a little bit lower in terms of the bet, but I was good with that bet. Standard continuation bet. Figured everybody had checked, so they'll probably muck. Person in the small blind ends up raising me to 250 or 240. I think I bet 120 and she made it 240. And I just had this bad feeling. I mean, I know, based on money, I probably should have called just to float it and see what hit on the turn. And, you know, who knows, maybe I would have gotten lucky and would have get my ace or my king or whatever. But I just had this bad feeling about the hand, and I've been trying to do a better job of listening to my feelings as well as, you know, playing properly. But I'm trying to, you know, listen to that first instinct a little bit more. And so I ended up mucking, showed my ace king, and said, oh, I guess your ace 10 got there. She flipped over jack 7 offsuit, so her 7 had gotten their middle pair, which I think it's a good play for her to make with middle pair, really to get an idea where she was at. I might have been able to come back over the top of her, but she's a pretty solid player, so I really didn't want to get into that much, you know, that much of a battle firsthand. Because even if I had gone over the top, she probably still would have called, turn card. If she didn't lead out, I'm going to have to take a stab. If she re-raises me, then what? So I just figured it was just easiest just to let it go, which I did. And she ended up, you know, showing the jack 7. And really, she would have called regardless of what I raised pre-flop. If I would have raised more pre-flop, she was in the small blind, so she would have called. Just because that's how she is. She's the type of player who usually plays her blinds pretty consistently. So first hand, I ended up dropping like $1.60. Probably about 3 hands later, I pick up pocket kings, and it's 2 people fold, 3 people fold, 2 people called. So I made a decent size raise. If I'm not mistaken, I think I raised it to 45. Yeah, I think it was 45. And the big blind called me. All right, actually, big blind and one other person called me. So flop comes up, queen. Queen Jack 9, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it's Queen Jack 9. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Queen Jack 9. So, Queen Jack 8. I'm sorry, it's Queen Jack 8 Rainbow. Apologize. Two black cards, but one was a club, one was a spade. So I'm sitting there with my pocket kings, feeling pretty good about this. So the big blind, yeah, small blind and big blind called. Small blind checks. Big blind makes a bet. Bet's like $2.50 into the pot. And I really wanted to kind of just string him along a little bit. And I figured if he's sitting on a queen right now, unless another queen hits, I'm probably good. He's probably making a bet right here with a queen or else a hand like ace king. So, hindsight's always 20/20. I probably, now that thinking about it, should have popped it. But it might not have done any good. We'll get there. So, I end up calling his bet. Turn card hits an ace. So now there's an ace on board. The ultimate, pucker your butt when you have kings is when an ace hits. It's the worst. And so again, he makes a bet. And again, I call. This time, on the flop, he bet like 240. This time, he bet like 3-something. So again, I called. And, maybe I could have gotten away from him there. But I was putting him on the queen based on his bet. When somebody takes the lead in the action like that, a lot of times they, have a hand. So I really did feel like he probably had a queen. Sure, I could have made the same argument for ace king, but I said he had a king or a queen. So I again call on the turn, and on the river, the fourth card or another card to a straight came up there. So essentially, it was a scary board then because there was an ace, queen. No, it couldn't have been. I don't remember what it was, but it killed the action on the end. Because he checked, and then I ended up checking, and he rolled over ace queen, so he ended up hitting 2 pair. Now, there's a lot of different things I think about with this hand that I could have and probably should have popped it on the flop. But once he'd already bet that, he's probably, and especially the type of player that he is, he probably would have gone all the way with just his top pair. If I had re-raised him and he called, the ace is going to hit regardless. So short of me pushing all in on the flop, which isn't going to happen, and he probably would have called because he thinks I was probably just trying to buy it or push him off the hand with this top pair, top kicker. So really, I think that was just one of those cooler hands. There really wasn't much I could do about it, and it sucks, but at the end of the day, I mean, what are you going to do, So it definitely sucked that I would pick up a hand like Cowboys that quickly, and have it get cracked. So after that hand, next thing I know, I'm down to like 750, 800 in chips. So I've dropped, half my stack in 2 hands. End up having another couple rounds go by. Pick up a couple, like every time that I would pick up a hand on the blinds, somebody would raise. Every time I would pick up a hand that was like marginal to play, until it's late. Like I picked up an ace queen, but it was first position under the gun. So I ended up just calling with the hand, which I know a lot of people don't like that play. They say early position, either raise or get the hell out. I ended up calling, really because I wanted to keep the pot small, and I had like a weird feeling about this hand as well. Essentially that there were a couple other hands in there that might not be as strong as mine, but they were close. And so I ended up, flop came up, rainbow of like 10-5-4 or something ridiculous. So I ended up checking, because there was literally 5 other people in the pot. And like no, I'm sorry, it didn't even get around to me because I was under the gun. The small blind raised, or bet, the big blind re-raised, I ran away. Actually ended up being a hand that somebody got doubled up on. So I'm glad I got the hell out of it. But it was a set of 4s, ended up against ace 10. The guy had top pair with the 10, and this guy had set of 4s. So I ended up doubling him up and essentially knocked the one guy out of the tournament, like 7 hands in. So the hand like that, I was glad I got it. I got out of the way with. Other hands that I would usually play, like a king 8 suited, would get in the wrong position, or with a raise and a re-raise in front. Just really was not running well in terms of timing. I made a couple moves where I did raise from my button twice and was able to pull those down. Randomly just decided I was going to make a move with like 7-6 offsuit or 7-6 suited, raise pre-flop. 2 of the ladies at the table, Kate and this lady Kim, who Kim is the lady that I got second place to in the second event. But I ended up betting on the flop. They both called. Turn card came. I bet again. They both folded. Had another hand, probably 2 rounds around the table again, where I made a play with king 6. I raised with king 6. Again, got called by Kate and Kim. Flop came up, complete junk, completely bricked it. I ended up making a bet, saying a continuation, but they both called. But on the turn, I ended up catching my king. So that actually helped, but when I made a bet on the turn, they both folded anyway. So it really didn't matter. But ended up getting my stack back up to about 900. Then in probably the third round, third blind round, it was, it would have been 2040. In the blind round of 2040, and we were down to 9 people at this point. I ended up picking up a little bit of a run. I picked up pocket jacks after there had been 2 calls on the pot, so I ended up raising, and everybody folded, so I picked up a couple bets there. And then the very next hand, I picked up pocket 5s, and ended up, it had been raised, so I called the raise. And at this point, with the blinds at 2040, it was like 120, so I called that, and then on the flop, an ace hit actually, but I don't know. I had a feeling that I was ahead, and everybody checked me. I threw a bet out there, and everybody folded, so I took down my 5s. And then I had another hand after that. I think it was an ace something. It might have even been an ace rag that I pumped up a little bit and was able to take it down. So I ended up getting my chips back up to about 1150. Then just kind of hit a little bit of a dull patch in the next blind round when we went up to 3060. I ended up just catching some hands that I called pre-flop with, one hand that I raised with, and then on the flop had to abandon it. Just a couple hands like that just didn't work out well. It wasn't bad play. It was just you got to mix it up, especially in those tournaments, because you got to chip up. So I don't feel like it was a bad play. It just didn't work out, So ended up was sitting at about 850, which was funny because it looked like I had way more chips because I had 2 huge stacks of 5s and like 2 100s and a 5. So it was funny. But so I was sitting at about 850, 840 or so. And on the small blind, I picked up 8-9 offsuit. I'm like, okay, I'll play this. I'll complete the bet, if you will. So there were a bunch of people in this spot. They're like 5-handed. So flop came up 7-5-5. So, I feel okay about it. I don't feel great. But I said, you know what? I'm going to take a stab at this. So I bet into it. Okay, get 2 callers on it. All right, that didn't work like I was hoping, but whatever. Now we're hoping to hit this straight. And sure enough, boom, on the turn, 6 pops off. So I've got the nuts straight. Technically, there's still a scary issue of a boat out there or quads, but I'm feeling pretty decent considering the fact there was no raise pre-flop, and most people would have raised with, pocket 7s, 5s, or 6s for the most part. Even if it's just a small raise, the general dynamic of the table are the type of people who would have raised with that. They raised with way crappier hands, so a medium pocket pair is definitely going to get raised. So now I'm feeling really solid. And I pretty much decided that the money was going in. I was going all in on this hand. Texture was really nice. There was no flush draws. So at this point, I had the nuts. So river card. All right. So I end up checking. Guy in would have been like second to act pre-flop makes a bet. I end up calling it. One other person calls. River card hits a 10. And the person sitting right next to me, Lady Kate, goes, oh, that was such a horrible card. So I end up shoving. I've only got, at this point, I've only got 600 left, I think. If I'm not mistaken. I had like 500 or 600 left. So I end up shoving. And instantly, this guy who would have been second to act, the guy who cracked my kings with his ace-queen, ends up calling. And I flip over my straight, and he kind of slow rolls it a little bit, and oh yeah, flips over his pocket 5s, no big deal. For quads! Yeah. That was my night. And that wasn't the first time we'd seen quads. That wasn't the second time we'd seen quads. That was the third time in 4 blind rounds that we had seen quads. Yeah, so ended up getting knocked out in 8th place. Really disappointed. Just couldn't get any traction, and not only could I not get traction, but it seems like I had the poker gods working against me. So it was just a bad run, honestly. And I was really anticipating to do better than that. I was really hoping to have a better night, a little bit better luck, but at the end of the day, I'm all right with my play. I don't really feel like any of those hands that I lost, I could have or should have played differently. It takes a big man to fold kings, even when an ace hits. If the ace would have flopped, I probably could have gotten away with it. But the fact that the queen flopped and then the ace turned, I mean, really the only hand that's beating me at that point is ace-queen, unless he made just a silly bet trying to take the lead on the flop with his king. So I just, I felt okay with that play. And at the end of the day, I don't feel like I really made any major mistakes. Just got unlucky. And sometimes that's all it is. At least that's what I think. So haven't had a chance to talk to my boy Bill yet. As you guys know, he's a dude that I really hammer out all the poker knowledge with, and my poker discussions to see what he thinks, if I should have played it differently or whatever. So he always helps me see different aspects of it. So that's what I'm also open to y'all for. If you guys think that I should have played the kings differently, of course, hindsight's 20/20 now. But at the time, would you have played him differently? What about the ace-king? What about the straight? Would you really have been worried about a full house in that spot? Or do you feel, like I did, that I was so low in chips, this was my shot? And whether I swung for the fences and missed and was thrown out like I did, or I hit a grand slam, I was going for it. That, in my opinion, hitting, a nut straight when really there's only pocket 7s, pocket 5s, pocket 6s, pocket 10s, 4 hands that are really going to beat me. I mean, yeah, 7-6 could have been, 7-5 or 5-6 could have been a potential. So even if you figure there were 6 hands that could beat me, I still think that was a shot that I had to take, personally. But let me know what you guys think. If you think that I, could have played it a little bit slower or less aggressively or whatever, just let me know. I really think that my call of 8-9 suited no, offsuit pre-flop was okay, based on the fact that I was in the blinds. But going back now, I sure do wish I would have mucked that hand. But it is what it is. So there you go. There is the final wrap-up for the Season 14 Arizona Poker Tour Championship Final Table. Your boy got 8th place. And that means I did not make any money. But at the end of the day, I made the final table. That's what matters. So it is what it is, and felt good getting on the felt. So definitely going to be stepping up and playing a lot more cards here in the near future, trying to get my game as perfected as I possibly can, you know. But it is what it is. So till the next video, thanks as always for checking out my videos. Matthew Maley from MatthewMaley.com. Quick poker recap video there. So like I said, if you guys have any comments or questions or anything else you want to say, you can always leave me a comment on YouTube if you're watching the videos there, or on MatthewMaley.com in the discussion tab. If you are on MatthewMaley.com, click over to the video blog, check everything out up on there, and watch all the videos. If you want to leave a comment on the actual video, you can just double click the video. It'll take you over to eBay. Wow, why do I always say that? It'll take you over to YouTube, to where you can actually leave a comment, subscribe to my channel so you'll be first ones to see all the videos popping up, as well as like the video and maybe watch it a few times, maybe share it with your friends or something. And of course, you can always follow your boy up on Twitter at Matthew Maley. Hopefully I'll be tweeting a lot tomorrow with the football games popping off and everything. And then of course, like my page on Facebook, search for Matthew Maley Poker. As you guys saw, I make my bigger posts on that. And then every time that something happens, I usually keep up with it on Twitter. So you can follow pretty much my hand-by-hand analysis of each hand, as well as my chip stack currently in the tournament, as well as blind rounds of the tournament as I'm progressing. So it's kind of cool that I just try to put the comments out there on Twitter so you guys can kind of follow along and visualize my play as though you're playing. So hopefully you guys like that. But once again, Matthew Maley for MatthewMaley.com, and until the next Arizona Poker Tour, I'm officially done for the season, but it's going to be time to go get up on some cash games and really get the game going. So, till the next time, which will probably be tomorrow, the next video, your boy's signing off. Peace out, y'all. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Peace.